Alright, and I'm sure it's no secret by now, but everybody's so hyped up to try out these new Mega Pokemon that have been released with Legends ZA. That on Pokemon Showdown, they even made their own fan-made metagame, Legends ZA Overused. And in this mod, the competitive community was kind enough to introduce some abilities to all the new Mega Pokemon. Even though this is mostly speculation, I found that most of the ideas are quite unique and promising and interesting. So I thought I'd just share the information with you and discuss my ideas on what this all shall mean. You do not have to wait for a couple of years before you can have a little bit of fun with the new toys that have been brought before us, in the competitive scene at least. You can simply hop onto Pokemon Showdown today if you desire and find battles on this metagame. I think over time they shall incorporate a quote-unquote fake metagame with all the new toys and moves that have been introduced alongside the National X tier, but that's a work in progress that is still yet to come. But yes, without further ado, let's just talk about every single new Mega Pokemon and what this all means. It's always a nice and exciting thing to just discover what other members of this competitive community think when it comes to the ideas of their favorite Pokemon. So Chestnut Mega receives a custom ability called Protective Thorns. This ability is said to be Iron Barbs alongside Bulletproof. That's a very grand combination. You know, in Generation 9 they were doing this 3 abilities in 1 and 2 abilities in 1. Even way back in Generation 7 where they were placing a lot of advantages into a single ability, like Water Bubble for example. But Protective Thorns, something that I could actually genuinely see Chestnut having. And with such an absurd ability in this regard, Chestnut with his maximum defenses, that no physical attacker is going to want to 1v1. It will almost always force out every single physical attacker. And knowing that you cannot touch it, unless you take some damage in return, reasonably high special defense that Chestnut possesses, also allows the bulletproof aspect of this ability to shine to its fullest. Many super effective hits that Chestnut might stare down like Weather Ball or Sludge Bomb, invalid versus this Pokemon. What a lovely and unique ability they have granted unto Chestnut. I will have the list of the abilities on the side of the screen just so you can follow along, because it's not always explained exactly what these unique abilities become, but this will also be in no particular order, so bear with me friends. But Mega Delphox has been gifted Levitate as not game breaking as the Levitate ability can be. Do not forget that Levitate took Gengar to extraordinary heights. When Gengar lost Levitate in Generation 7, it started to fall down to the wayside. And even though Gengar's not a bad Pokemon, the Levitate was allowing it to switch into those very scary stab earthquakes and random earthquakes in general. Delphox being weak to ground, now just being gifted a free immunity onto the ground types, is a massive boon. It allows you to switch in this Pokemon on a predicted earthquake and scare the opponent out with your massive base 159 special attack. Another thing that Levitate may offer to Delphox, which is an ability I could see it having because it's supposedly floating on its brooms or by its magic, but Levitate will make this Pokemon immune to spikes and sticky web. So if your whole game plan was to use some bulky or slow setup sweepers and use the webs to even the playing field, that's not going to assist when staring down Mega Delphox. What a very, very brilliant idea they have gifted this Pokemon. Mega Dragalge, with its poor HP stat but reasonable defensive and high enough attacking stat, will be a very good candidate to sponge a lot of special attacks that are thrown off. But I don't think it's game breaking or that exciting because the Dragon Poison coverage with no boosting move is not that grand. But the potential to just have that sting power and maybe potentially get up a Toxic Spike, the Regenerate ability helps that go along. This could be, like a slightly better Toxapex in some regard, as it's got a high HP stat, Flip Turn for momentum. Yeah, I could see that kind of being not too bad of a Pokemon, seeing as how bulky Toxapex was. Even though the Dragalge's defenses are a little lower, HP makes up a little bit in that regard, so what a wonderful ability they've gifted to Mega Dragalge in this fan-made metagame. If any of you have questions on how to play in this metagame, just let me know in the comments down below and I shall do a brief guide or on my community post or something to show you where you can have access to all of this information and find out and have some fun with these new toys. And potentially we will be using these new toys on this channel eventually. Another one that's received a unique ability, and I think it's a much needed one, is Mega Electros. And this is an ability I think will make this Pokemon somewhat mad. Although Mega Electros, it can't be a jack of all trades and master of none. This ability I think will make it a lot easier to be a master of some of the traits. And Battery is an ability that grants this Pokemon the benefit of being a plus and a minus Pokemon all in one. And as we all know, Mega Electros has those two electric looking Pokemon swimming beside it. Iron Battery also allows it to still hover above the earthquakes, meaning Electros is a Mega Pokemon with no weaknesses. This will be the ultimate mixed attack, and for those of you who do not know, if you have a plus Pokemon and a minus Pokemon on the same side of your field, both of those Pokemon get +1 to their special attack, and Mega Electros basically gets a free choice specs. Its grand special attacking coverage is phenomenal. Thunderbolt, Flamethrower, Giga Drain, that's enough coverage in its own right, coming off a reasonably high special attack. And any special sponge desires to switch in, Mega Electros' base attack is technically higher than its special, so we just Drain Punch the Blissies that are trying to rue the day in the face of Mega Electros' special power. I think this Pokemon, if it had such a broken ability, in my opinion, it still will be somewhat manageable. Mega Barbaracle retains the Tough Claws, and this is perfect, especially if, let's find out if Shell Smash is legal in this metagame. Oh, that's dangerous. I'm so surprised that this Pokemon has not been banned, as there is a ban list. So if Mega Blastoise could find the way of the ban hammer, I'm not sure how Tough Claws Mega Barbaracle with higher attacking stats and greater defenses in some regard and a very good attack boosting ability is still finding itself to be legal in this year. Maybe it's just they don't want to take away the new toys, but it's neither here nor there. Barbaracle, if you didn't know, everybody knows by now, but if you didn't know, Barbaracle has been gifted Close Combat to complement its new fighting typing. And Close Combat gets a Tough Claws boost. No longer does it have to languish with the struggles of using Low Kick, which is inconsistent in tiers below Ubers, or Cross Chop, which has a massive chance to miss. No Rock Stab is Tough Claws boosted, but it's still a very powerful stab to have coming off Barbaracle's base 140 attack stat. So behind in Aurora Veil, these stats are going to matter, but I don't think it should be that busted in any regard, because this Pokemon doesn't have moves to hit things like Slowbro and Slowking for that matter very hard. Let's find if it receives knockoff. No knockoff, no problem. There will be some answers to this madness. Barbaracle is going to be a great Pokemon, but that rock typing, no water typing, means that bulky waters can have their day versus the Barbaracle. Although beware, if you do not resist that close combat, you are finished in this town. And it's going to be very difficult to outspeed Barbaracle after that Shell Smash at +2. Mega Floette. Mega Floette received an ability called, I think you pronounce it as Ange. It sounds like some kind of anger that's been pent up, but this is a grand way for this Mega to go. It's basically like a slightly worse version of Poisoneel, but the fact that this Pokemon has insanely elevated stats and has the ability to passively heal makes this a grand trade-off. Wish Protect sets could be a phenomenal thing for this Pokemon in this meta game. Also, the added bonus of this Ange ability is that if you're staring down on an overpowered Mega, or any Mega Pokemon for that matter, they start to be drained of 10% of their HP every turn. So they're on a ticking timer just for being in front of you and trying their best to destroy you with their own ultra powerful Pokemon. This Pokemon has the stats to play bulky, and you need no investment in any attacking category, to be honest, because the special attack is just so sky high naturally. Great speed means that even with all the bulk in the world, it will outspeed a large variety of people. So perfectly slotted. What a lovely idea the community has come up with. Mega Frostlass has been granted the Snow Warning ability, and forgive me if I'm wrong, but it also learns Aurora Veil. This is a very dangerous, subtly dangerous weapon of sorts, because if you give a Pokemon that's extremely quick the Aurora Veil, the ability to set up the snow, boost its own defenses, and then grab the Aurora Veil, more often than not first, because their base 120 speed is quite high, and be a giant threat in its own regard with its high base 140 attack, and you boost its blizzards to maximum power. Ice typing has been redefined slightly with Mega Frostlass, but we've been playing against hyper aggressive and mad playstyles before, so people are kind of used to dealing with such ideas and strategies. I just think that this is a slightly more easy way to get the ball rolling for your aggressive tactics. Mega Greninja didn't get really much love. Its speed stat is quite high, but it retains the Protean ability, and trying to activate Battle Bond while holding a Mega Stone is a very difficult task, even if Battle Bond and the Mega Evolution worked in tandem, where you could grab the KO, get all the boosted stats, and then Mega Evolve and become ultra powerful beyond measure, stronger than Ash Greninja ever could become. It's still a difficult task to perform. And the fact that even though this Pokemon gives it Nasty Plot, Protean only changes your typing once. So you're going to Nasty Plot into a Dark type, and then all of your attacking options are non-stab. This is a serious nerf to Mega Greninja, so maybe in the real deal, in the real game, things will be different. But in this metagame, it's a bit of a letdown of sorts for Mega Greninja, but it is what it is. It has its uses. It's so ultra fast and has some decent attacking options here and there. It should just be a Swiss Army knife, like U-turn and whatnot. No Nasty Plot antics or swords dancing, because your type is guaranteed to change now. There's no avoiding it at this point in time. All your moves being non-stab is a giant sacrifice to make in this metagame. Mega Skarmory has received the Mega Metagross treatment. I think this was a copy-paste of Mega Metagross, and Tough Claws was gifted to Skarmory. It's not to love. I mean, people are just going to Swords Dance, grab that weak armor boost potentially, and Skarmory doesn't have much coverage, but it has the moves that matter. Like Brave Bird being Tough Claws boosted, we've never had a metagame where that's possible. If you don't want to destroy yourself with Brave Bird, Drill Peck is now a viable option, a viable stab option. And the coverage moves in Drill Run become stronger than a regular Earthquake. So, ability that you could actually kind of see Skarmory getting. And with this decent enough attack stat, I can see Skarmory pulling in some good work. Either as a defensive wall, or an all-out attacker, or a mix of both, and everything in between. Next we have the most controversial Mega Starmie. Mega Starmie is receiving its Pure Power ability, and you know, even though Mega Starmie does not possess a grand amount of ultra powerful moves in its physical move pool, anything coming off a 598 attack stat, because Pure Power doubles the attack, it's still gonna sting. Even Rapid Spin, a non-stab Rapid Spin, you could potentially get away with running Adamant Nature, and then your attack stat is through the stratosphere. Starmie has reliable recovery if it so desires. The bulk is somewhat decent. Mixed attacking options are there for you, which set it apart from other pure power Pokemon. So even though the physical move pool is barren, to say the least, Water Stab is probably all you need to be throwing off from that side of the spectrum. And you can use your utility like Rapid Spin, threaten bulky waters with Thunderbolt or Thunder if you are crazy, which I could see myself being. Yeah, those Aqua Jets are going to be hurting quite a bit, and Starmie actually does possess Bulk Up to turn that power up even greater. Might be one of the best late game cleaners, and it's quite quick as well. Speed tying base 105s if you are feeling like running an Adamant Nature. One Bulk Up in this Pokemon stats is high. Enough said. Mega Clefable. Sadly, in this metagame, people aren't drawn to Clefable. And Serene Grace, it's nice to have a Moonblast that can drop the special more often than not. I don't think we've ever had a Serene Grace Pokemon that can fish for freeze with a 20% freeze Ice Beam, but that's not the reason we use Clefable at all in any regard. Serene Grace means it will be weak to hazards, and I think the only move that Serene Grace reliably boosts for Clefable is Moonblast, to be honest. 60% chance to drop the special attack, so forget it, no special attacker. He's going to be switching into Mega Clefable and then proceeding to beat it, because he's going to get dropped all day every day by that Serene Grace Moonblast. But nah, man, the fact that Mega Clefable takes all the hazards, okay, just the Stealth Rocks, but takes full damage from Stealth Rocks, no leftovers recovery to speak of, it's a sacrifice not worth the making. Mega Dragonite received an insane ability. Soul Heart. Soul Heart is Magina's unique ability, and you don't even have to KO the Pokemon. If they just drop down a 0 and you happen to be staring at them at the time, you get a +1 special attack boost. Dragonite, I can see it's still rocking those Dragon Dance sets with some special attacking options in between, just as coverage options, you know, like a Ice Beam or a Flamethrower, depending on what your team requires. But Dragonite's speed has been boosted so you can acquire multiple Dragon Dance, and sometimes people may even end up staying in regular form to Dragon Dance. I think Soul Heart, despite it being so broken, Dragonite's current identity as we have known it from its inception in Generation 1 is, well, not Generation 1, but since Generation 3 inception with when it comes to abilities, was Dragon Dance and Sweep, or just throw off some heavy damage onto the opponents. That's what Dragonite's game plan is, and this is a massive shift in the game plan. It will take some getting used to, but a very thematically appropriate ability, I must declare. Last of the new megas that have been released is Mega Excadrill retaining Mold Breaker. Although Mega Excadrill is a very good Pokemon with very good speed, I think that, you know, Mold Breaker is not an ability that's going to take it over the edge. It's not going to do much different than compared to what regular Excadrill did. I suppose, you know, now that this thing has access to Mega Horn, you can beat those checks and counters, but flying steel types are still going to be the bane of your existence. Although Rock Slide, admittedly, and the higher defenses, plus the much higher attack, you can even probably get away with running Adamant Nature now. Those Rock Slides are going to sting and hurt Skarmory a lot more than regular Excadrills Rock Slides did. And you will probably love the subsequent attacks. But nothing to write home about. I think Mold Breaker is quite a good ability because Excadrill often ends up flipping the script against Pokemon that it should have no business beating, like Rotom Wash, and nowadays Delphox, it would appear, who's also floating above the sky. Oh, in fact, there are quite a few more megas that I missed because there's even an underused tier in this metagame. Mega Chandelure received Magic Guard. Wow, that is a big fix. Toxic Immune, Hazard Immune, Sand Damage Immune, that is cool. Because Mega Chandelure's whole shtick is going to be, you know, get in and scare the guy out. That, and then fire off a heavy attack into the resist and break them like that. I don't think this will translate accurately into real Pokemon. In fact, I don't think many of these will translate at all into regular Pokemon, but not that thematically appropriate, but still a very cool idea to try. It's like they're trying to save this Pokemon, and this does indeed breathe a large amount of life back in the Chandelure because it is no longer that weak to. It's no longer that easy to wear down over time. The only way to take it down is by going toe to toe with it in terms of the damage department, and going toe to toe with something with such a high special attack and very powerful stab moves like Shadow Ball and Overheat, for example. Not a very easy task to do, I must say. So they really did a service unto Mega Chandelure. Next on the list we have Drampa, and Drampa is now the new rain setter, and I think the sacrifice is worth it if everything remains in order. Mega Drampa is relatively bulky and it has Roost and a giant special attack stat. It is a weather setter that is not a sitting duck or an all-out support Pokemon. It has moves that are boosted by the weather like Hurricane and Thunder, which it does get. And its unique typing means that you're not overlapping yourselves with too many water types. That's what one of Rain's main weaknesses are. Water types are a nice thing to spam, but sometimes there is such a thing as too many. But Dragon and normal typing is very, very excellent, as we've seen in Cyclozar in Generation 9 currently. So this is going to breathe new life into the Rain archetype, in this metagame at least. But wonderful idea they have possessed. Embo with Supreme Overlord. I didn't think Embo was such a dictator of sorts, but we all know that Supreme Overlord, your guys have to go bust. But the problem with Embo is the speed is mediocre, first and foremost. The bulk it's okay, but the typing is not as grand as King Gambit's typing, and the setup ideas are not as quick. King Gambit has Swords Dance, we have to use bulk up for Embo. Other problem is there's no stab priority move. The reason why King Gambit is okay with that low speed is because of Stab Sucker Punch and the ability to Terastallize, but that's neither here nor there. Stab Sucker Punch goes a long way. This Pokemon's best option is Sucker Punch, but it's non-stab and no Swords Dance to boost it either. That makes it a lot more difficult for Ember to set up. Ember's got an identity crisis. It's so powerful, too slow. It's got decent special attack, why would I bother? Decent defenses, no reliable recovery. Identity crisis, you can't do all things at once. You can't be hitting extremely hard and you can't be defending extremely hard at the same time with such a Pokemon. Nice idea, but I'm gonna save this thing in this metagame at all. I can understand why it's so low on the list, to be honest with you. Mega Phalanx received a unique ability called Brass Bond, unlike Parental Bond, which is a 2-hit combination. The Brass Bond is the whole team going into the action. The 3-hit combination, but the subsequent attacks are slightly weaker. This is not that impressive, and I'll tell you why. 3 reasons. First and foremost, Mega Phalanx is not that great of a Pokemon. No retreat is the main idea that this Pokemon tends to go for, and yes, the stats are not that high. A base 100 with a +1 speed is not unreasonable to be outsped. Focus sashes are not safe before you, and it's essentially just a free life orb boost, and we've been dealing with Pokemon with a life orb with this kind of attack stat and this speed stat before. Although no drawback, it's extremely nice, I must say, but the mega slot for that? No, not something worth noting, but still something exciting to try out and unique. I'm not sure if all attacks proc abilities from the opponent, so if the opponent is rocking Flame Body and I touch them 3 times, is my chances to get burned increased? I would assume it works that way. I would hope it works that way, but I know that this Brass Bond doesn't allow the added effects that a move may possess to be counted in the attacks. So if I try and Iron Head flinch them with 3 subsequent Iron Heads, only the first one is going to factor into the dice roll of whether or not it will be flinched. Man, there's actually a lot of megas that we should go through. I didn't recognize that they actually made a lot. But we continue. Dragon's Maw for Mega Feraligatr. Everybody expected Strong Jaw, but I think it's sometimes nice to play outside, think outside the box. Dragon's Maw is also something somewhat thematically appropriate. I mean, this Pokemon has a Regidrago head on its back, I suppose. This is not as good as Strong Jaw may have been, and I think this actually makes Mega Feraligatr officially worse than regular Sheer Force boosted Feraligatr. In terms of the damage department, not in terms of the bulk and the setup opportunity. That's because it's only going to boost the Dragon stat by quite a substantial margin, I must admit. But the most reliable Dragon stat we have is Scale Shot and Dragon Claw, which if you know Dragon Claw, it's not a move you want to be spamming. People have been resisting and playing in the face of outrages. Dragon's Maw, Dragon Claw is not the answer. And if I want to lock myself in outrage, pray that they do not have a fairy type that can revenge me with one single Moonblast. Yeah, Feraligatr. Nice idea. It's not your time in the sun, is it, my friend? And Mega Lucha, another one that received a unique ability. And a nice sounding one as well, Luchador's Pride. It's like Moxie, essentially, but instead of raising the attack, you raise the speed. The problem with this is that it kind of becomes redundant after probably even 1 KO. There's no point in raising the speed up to 11 when you're faster than everybody after the first boost, and makes it somewhat unreliable, but it's still quite thematically appropriate for this Pokemon. And Mega Malamar, they really are trying to make this guy somewhat viable. They improved on Contrary by gifting it the simple ability as well. So Contrarian is Contrary, all your stat changes are inverted, and Simple, all your stat changes are doubled. With Contrarian Superpower, that's essentially a +2 attack and a +2 to the defense. But cost of a Mega Slot with such poor stats, no thank you. Alright, Mega Meganium, despite its nice boosts and move pool, Flower Veil is a useless ability in singles if I recall correctly, making that your grass type allies cannot be status just boosting your grass type allies. There's no allies in single battles. They've shunned Mega Meganium to the wayside. Nice fairy typing and whatnot, but sorry Mega Meganium. I'm just gonna breeze through these because we can't have the video go on forever. But let me know what Mega you're most excited to craft theories about and what you are excited to learn about as the time goes on. Mega Scarf irritating Shed Skin. This is gonna be an RNG sweeper then, and Moonblast is gonna drop you all day every day. Unaware Clef Fable will eat you for breakfast, and that's something I will rock. Shed Skin just means that there's a chance you're going to be able to set up Dragon Dances for life and bulk ups for life and run max special defense and bulk up to the high heavens and rest off all the damage. But like I said, fairy types will destroy you. Mega Pyro basically just received Drought. That's a free solar beam in the sun. It's nice to have, and Mega Pyro is quite quick, so nice of them to add Drought to the metagame. Not game breaking by any stretch of the imagination, I would assume. Just moving on because nobody cares about Pyro. Mega Scolopede was gifted Tinted Lens for this metagame. With Gunk Shot and those hard-hitting Mega Horns, maybe Skarmory can finally be dropped down. Swords Dance is there to make waves. We can just slap on that protection if we want to get the speed boost and make sure that our Tinted Lens power still will hit hard. With such a high attack set, it means no matter what switches in, it's still going to take some semblance of heavy damage, regardless. And Gunk Shot is no weak move by any stretch of the imagination. I think that Tinted Lens ability is what gives it enough of a difference in being compared to Buzzwole. Now we can actually do some heavier damage than Buzzwole, despite no reliable recovery. And I think the final dude on this list is Mega Victory Bell. Believe it or not, Corrosion is actually going to do wonders for it because you toxic everything, you sit there, you protect, you have reliable recovery, you strength sap everybody. Mega Victory Bell, as weak as it is in the defensive departments, it still has some defenses to use. Definitely a lower tier option, of course, with Corrosion, but yeah, the attack stat is nice. And there you have it, folks. That is what is proposed to be the new abilities for all these megas in this fan-made metagame. Let me know what you thought about all of this in the comments down below. And one thing I can tell you that I don't think anyone has spoken of as of yet is that all the megas have been given the benefit of the doubt and gifted some new abilities that are surprisingly taking them to new heights. Mega Ordino, for example, was gifted Regenerator. Finally, it retained its Regenerator idea. And Mega Gallade was gifted Sharpness. We'll talk about it another time, another place. Nevertheless, if you did enjoy this video as discussed, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe, as we shall be doing a lot more of these. But until next time, friends, we shall be returning out. Thanks for watching.